In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at this product here, and this is Gyeon Can Coat Evo, and this was kindly sent by Gyeon UK to test out and to get my honest thoughts on. So what I'm going to be doing is taking you through what I've learned with the prep, application and the performance of it so far. So what this is a 12-month sprayable ceramic coating. So essentially what it is a lightweight ceramic. So it almost bridges the gap between ceramic sealants and full-blown sort of 3-5 year ceramic coatings. I would definitely say it leans more towards the ceramic coating side. I would consider this to be a true coating, but what you are really getting here is a slightly easier method of application, but at the sacrifice of that durability being at around that 12-month mark. So you can apply this as a topper to an existing ceramic coating to boost the performance, or you can use it standalone as I'm going to be demonstrating here. You can also apply this product both indoors and outdoors, and I know that's the thing that puts a lot of people off using ceramic coatings, is that they think that you can only apply them indoors in really controlled environments. You don't have to with this product, you can apply it outside, and that's what I'm also going to be demonstrating here too. And in terms of the surfaces that you can apply it to paintwork, wheels, trim, you can apply it to PPF, and you can apply it to glass as well. However, they don't recommend putting it on the windscreen, so just the side windows. So with regards to what you get in the box when you purchase this, you get 200ml of the CanCoat EVO. So that is about enough to do about 10 to 15 cars, so pretty decent amount to be getting there. You also get the microfiber towel, which you can use for either the application or the wipe off. This is sort of a pearl weave microfiber towel. It's a very sort of low pile, which is great for ceramic coatings. And then you also get 3 spray trigger heads as they kind of gunk up if you use them quite a few times, so it's good that they have included spares here too. You also get a few stickers if you want to put them on maybe the inside of the door to show that it's a coated vehicle. So I'm first going to start off by talking about how to prepare the vehicle before applying this product. Now there are a couple of different options here depending on how involved you want to be with the application process. So in an ideal world, what you would do is do a chemical decontamination, so that would be an iron and tar remover, after of course washing the car. Then you would clay the vehicle, follow up with a machine polish to remove any marring, make sure the surface is nice and defect free before applying the coating, and then you would use the Gyeon prep spray to help remove any oils and residues that might be preventing the coating from bonding properly. So that is an ideal scenario that's going to result in the best durability of the product and also the best finish. However, if you aren't a fan of machine polishing and it's something that's put you off using a ceramic coating in the past, then you don't strictly have to do it. In this scenario, what I would recommend is sticking to a liquid-only decontamination. So use your iron and tar removers to remove those deposits. And then you can also use something like a wax stripping shampoo. One that I use quite often is the Garage Therapy Decon shampoo to help remove any existing protection that's on there. I wouldn't recommend claying if you're not going to polish, as it is going to really introduce some marring into the paintwork that you're not going to be able to remove via polishing, so I would just skip that stage. And then you can use the Gyeon prep spray to remove any of those residues before applying the product. Regardless of whether you machine polish the car or not, using that prep spray is absolutely essential before applying the coating, as otherwise you really do risk some residues on the surface interfering with the application process and getting significantly less durability out of the product as a result. So when I'm using the prep spray, I like to use quite a lot on the towel and also a couple of sprays on the panel as well. Give it a good spread, flip the cloth and then buff it to a streak-free finish. I also usually wait about 10 to 15 minutes after doing this to make sure everything's sort of really gassed off properly. It's really not a super essential step and it probably would be fine otherwise, but it's just a precaution that I do like to make as well. So now onto the actual application process of CanCoat. And as I said, you do get a microfiber towel included. You are going to need more than this though. It's great that they've included it, but don't just rely on this. What I like to do is actually use a microfiber applicator. So the one I've got here is from the Rag Company. I really like this one as it has a barrier technology. So underneath the microfiber, it's got a layer that's going to stop the coating sort of really soaking through. You can actually get away with losing less product if you use one of these. I also like using an applicator because it just feels a bit more direct when applying a coating. When you're spraying it onto the cloth and spreading it, it's a little bit harder to get that even coverage, so using something like this is beneficial. And then I use my cloth for the wipe off. In terms of how many applicators you really need, I like to use 2 of them, so then I've got 4 sides to work with. This means that I don't really run any risk of the coating really starting to harden on the applicator and potentially introducing some marring. It keeps the applicator nice and fresh if you just switch it up. In terms of how many microfiber towels that I usually use about 3 to 4. So I really like the pearl weave as they have that really short pile. so it's really good for actually removing coating residue. I wouldn't use anything super plush for that first wipe off. However, after coating every couple of panels, I do use another plush microfiber towel just to go over the panels again to make sure that I've collected all the residue. So use this first one for the initial wipe off and then the plusher one just as kind of an insurance cloth really to make sure I've got everything. So on the first panel, I do like to prime the applicator and do quite a few sprays on there to make sure that there's a decent layer. And then after that initial panel, I usually use about 3 to 4 sprays to coat each additional panel. When you are spraying the product onto the applicator, just make sure that you're doing it quite a way away from the vehicle and make sure that the wind isn't blowing towards it, as you don't want to get any overspray. Now when it comes to actually spreading the product, it's really important to work in small sections. This product does cure very quickly, so working in a massive section is just going to cause you a whole world of pain. So as a general rule, you don't want to be really reaching, just use your arm's length, and you don't really want to be going outside your shoulders. I am pretty small, so I usually go slightly outside, but as a general rule, you just don't really want to be reaching too far. On the vehicle that I was working on, it has a small bonnet already, but I did still split this into 2 just to make my life a lot easier. I like to spread the product in a crosshatch pattern to ensure even coverage, and then once I've done that, I immediately wipe it off. With this product, it does flash very, very quickly, so if you hang about, then it's going to be harder to remove it. So just have your microfiber towel in hand and wipe it straight away. What I wouldn't recommend doing is using any pressure. Really, that's going to introduce marring potentially at this stage, but it's also going to potentially create different levels of the coating. So just use light pressure, the product should come off nice and easily. If you have left it a little bit long or coated too large of an area, it's really easy to rectify this by just repeating the application process. A few sprays more on the applicator, spread it again and then wipe it off, and it should come off really nice and easily. So if you do notice it starts to become a bit more difficult to remove, just do that rather than really scrubbing and working at the surface, because it just isn't going to be effective and potentially is going to cause a few problems. Just be mindful as well when you are doing that wipe off that you aren't pushing the product onto adjacent panels and not buffing it off there as well. This is quite easily done. So when you are using that second microfiber towel to buff off any residue you might have missed with the first, buff a larger area just to be on the safe side. And also if you are really worried about this, then you can actually just try and get the panels out of the way. So what I mean by this is when you've done the bonnet, pop the bonnet up and then do sort of the front bumper, or when you've done a front door, open that up and then get it out of the way so you can do the back door, and you're not going to be pushing it onto adjacent panels. If you do that, it's a good tip to use, not strictly necessary, but something to keep in mind if you are worried about that. And another thing to note if you are working outdoors and considering the environmental conditions, I wouldn't recommend applying this coating really in low temperatures. So for me, I really start to get a little bit worried if it's below 8 degrees Celsius, as it can make it a little bit more tricky. In some cases you will be fine, but in others it might cause some problems. And anything above 25 degrees, again, I think gets pretty tricky. Always though, regardless of what conditions, what temperature it is, make sure you are not working in direct sunlight with this product, as it's going to make it very difficult to apply. In terms of layering the product, you can apply a second coat an hour after applying the first one. I didn't do it here as I wanted to make things nice and easy for myself. You can get potentially some more durability out of it doing it that way. And then one final thing to note when you are done with the application process is to make sure that you take out that spray trigger and rinse it through with warm water. Otherwise the coating's going to cure inside it and it's not going to work the next time you come to use it. And then make sure you put the cap on the bottle nice and tightly, as this is going to stop any air getting to the coating and reducing the lifespan of it. In terms of the shelf life of the product, it's 6 to 12 months after opening. Just make sure you don't expose it to extreme temperatures. If it's going to be freezing in your garage over winter, make sure you do bring it inside. And also the applicators that you're using, make sure you either chuck them in the bin or demote them. Don't use them on the paintwork again, as they will properly harden. So in terms of the cure time of the product, it does say to keep it dry for 12 hours after application. Now, if you are in the UK coating the vehicle outdoors, obviously that can be a little bit tricky. You are going to have to keep an eye on the weather there. One thing you can do though is apply Gyeon Cure, which is a product that's going to basically sit on top of the coating and protect it whilst it's still curing. So something to look into if you are worried about that. And once you have applied the coating, make sure you don't wash it for at least a week. Don't use any chemicals on it, just leave it to fully harden. It really does need this. So here is the water behaviour after 2 weeks. So this was the first wash on the vehicle, and as you can see, it is very, very fresh indeed. Definitely what I would be expecting at this point, and don't think you can ask for much more here really. So in terms of the maintenance going forward with this product, and really just ceramic coatings in general, it's still really important to do a proper pre-wash on the car. These coatings are still going to mar and scratch in the same way as regular paintwork will if you don't wash it properly. So make sure you do use a good pre-wash. With ceramic coatings being pretty good at releasing dirt, you don't really tend to need anything too aggressive. So you might get away with a pH neutral snow foam. You can still use alkaline snow foams and citrus pre-washes, just make sure you are diluting them properly. You're not going to need a high concentration. The pH range that this product is chemically resistant to is between 2 and 11, so if you are using really strong traffic film removers or really sort of high concentration alkaline pre-washes, then it is going to potentially degrade the coating sooner, so just make sure you are still diluting them to a decent concentration. Then when you move into the contact wash, make sure you use a pH neutral pure shampoo. And the reason that I'm specifying to use a pure shampoo is that gloss enhancing and wax infused shampoos are really going to clog the ceramic coating and reduce the performance of it, so stick to a nice pH neutral pure shampoo that's free of any of those additives. You can also use ceramic shampoos, those are going to help too, so Gyeon Base Plus would be the appropriate one here. However, they don't tend to be quite as slick and sudsy. I don't like the experience of using them quite as much, hence why I just stick to using a regular one. And in terms of topping up the product, I still would recommend you do it. I think there's a common misconception that you just put a ceramic coating on the vehicle, leave it for the extended lifespan and it'll be fine. It's not really the case, and applying a sacrificial layer of protection does really help keep the contamination build-up down and just keep the coating nice and fresh. So something like Gyeon Wet Coat or their ceramic detailer is a good option to go for. I usually tend to stick to the brand that the coating's made from, but it's not strictly necessary if you don't want to. So using one of those types of products every month is going to help keep that coating nice and fresh, and it's just really going to help in terms of the overall durability of it. As I said, coatings are still going to get contaminated, so applying that sacrificial layer is going to help as it's going to shed that and a lot of the contamination with it. You are still going to have to do some routine decontamination. So what I wouldn't recommend doing is claying the coating, as that is going to cause some marring, so I wouldn't recommend that, but you can do a liquid decontamination. So tar removers, iron removers are fine, and decontamination shampoos as well to give the coating a nice cleanse. With this coating, I'm probably just going to do this at the 6 month mark. However, if you are driving a lot of miles, then every 4 to 6 months is a decent amount of time to be doing these liquid decontaminations. So what I'm going to do in the description is pop a link to all the products that I've mentioned in this video. If you have enjoyed it and found it useful, then it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks very much for watching.